Do you want to learn how to grow your money by 8 times in 15 years? Or do you want me to tell you how I am growing my money at a rate of multiplying by what I got by 8 in the next 15 years? That means if you got 50,000 now, I want to show you how I am growing that to 400,000 in 15 years. What's up, everyone? My name is Brad Reed. I would like to encourage you to be good, and by good, I mean get out of debt, achieve your financial dreams, and give generously to your community. This is my guide for investors because I want to help people achieve financial freedom. And by financial freedom, I mean the money is growing faster than you can spend it. I'm going to show you how. I'm going to show you what that means and how I am working to achieve that for myself in this video. If you want to scan that QR code in the lower right-hand corner, it'll take you to a form. I am a residential realtor in the state of Indiana, so I can help you buy or sell a house. That'll be on that form. That's also there if you want to learn how to invest in multifamily, or if you want to talk about multifamily investing. Same QR code, same form. Reach out. Let's get started talking. Okay, this is not financial advice. This is for education and entertainment only. There is no offer to buy or sell any security or investment. There is no tax advice. There is no accounting advice. There is no legal advice for you in this video. Investing often involves a high degree of risk, and losing a significant amount of money is always a possibility. There have been some wild and crazy things that have happened over the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years. I'm going to talk about that a little bit at the end of this video because you need to understand that when you invest in something, that there is that risk. However, I'm also going to show you how rich people invest. It's the same strategy, but there's a little bit of diversification that we can add to it to mitigate some of that risk. Now, should you want personalized financial advice, please seek a competent individual in your area. And that goes the same if you want tax, accounting, or legal advice. Find someone competent, preferably licensed in your area. Cool. Which retirement are you planning for? If you are failing to plan for retirement, you are planning to fail. People that have this kind of retirement over here on the left, they have to make lots of choices. What do they spend their money on? Do they get to travel to see their grandkids at Christmas or for graduation? What are they buying for gifts? And can they spend things on their own needs? How much can they give to their community and the causes that they care about? What I want to create for my family and what I want to help you create for your family is an abundance in retirement, multiple streams of income, overflowing with opportunities, and just growing faster than you can spend it so that you can give to your kids, you can give to your grandkids, right? The Bible says leave an inheritance to your children's children. We all want to give to causes that we care about and that we're called to. But in order to give to these people and these charities and these causes, we first have to build this abundance. That's what we're going to talk about today. All right, let's say you got $50,000. Maybe you got a bonus coming up from work. Maybe you got a tax return coming from the government. Maybe you've been saving up some here and there. Maybe you've got a gift coming, or maybe someone gifted you with a bunch of money or something that you can sell. Do you have an IRA with $50,000 on it? Or do you have an old 401k somewhere with $50,000 on it? If you don't, maybe you can create a side hustle, start working, even if it takes you 5 years. Well, let's get going on getting you $50,000. The reason I pick $50,000, it is a common minimum to get into this kind of investing. So I call it the buy a money machine strategy. When you get this amount of money, you don't go buy a toy. You don't go have a trip that the money is gone after it is. You invest in something. You buy something. You buy a money machine. In this case, the money machine is going to be an apartment building. And as our tenants are paying rents, we're going to be putting 8% of that cash each year in our pockets. And then at the end of 5 years, we're going to sell it and we're going to have doubled up our initial investment between the cash on cash return and the way in which that apartment has grown in value. So the goal here, you put in 50,000, we're going to double up in 5 years. So you invest the 50K, what you're going to receive first of all is a potentially massive tax benefit. This is called advanced depreciation, accelerated depreciation, excuse me. So this will come when you pay the taxes after after you make the acquisition, after you make the investment, you will get an accelerated depreciation form and a K1 that you can turn into your accountant. Now, I put potentially massive tax benefit there because I don't know what the law is going to be when you get yours, where the law is in your area, or if it applies to you. But for most people, get a big tax bump. Now, the reason the government gives us these tax incentives is because for many, many, many years, the need for housing in the U.S. has grown faster than our ability to provide it. That means the government can't make enough housing. The big builders can't make enough housing. So the government provides incentives to you and me to invest our money so that we can create the basic need of housing, folks. Okay. We're not doing polishing and luxury stuff. We're talking about basic need housing. That's why we get the tax benefit. So not only are we going to grow your money, but we're going to help people in need of shelter in the process. That's cool. Okay, so I told you 8% cash on cash return. That means for 4 years, you're going to be getting about $4,000, right? Because 8% of 50,000 is 4,000. Then, if we're going to double up in 5 years, we need the end value of that apartment to go up. So the $50,000 we put in, we're going to get $84,000 in 5 years. So $4,000 per year for 4 years, plus $84,000 is $100,000. Now let's say we take that $100,000 and we reinvest it. Guess what? If you get $84,000 in year 5, you're probably going to have some tax burden on that, right? So we need to reinvest it in something that gives us tax benefits. Now, I'm going to stick with the 8% cash on cash return, 2x multiplier in 5 years, because that's a good apartment building in 2025, 2024. I have found these. I have invested in these. I've got 3 of these right now. And overall, I'm expecting bigger numbers than what I have on the screen. Now, I don't know what the market's going to be like when it comes time for you to invest, but right now, I'm finding these, and I have been finding these for the last couple of years. So if we get 8% cash on cash return on $100,000, that's $8,000 per year for 4 years. And in year 5, we get $168,000. Cool, you got it? So we're going to rinse and repeat. Now what this means is if you put in $50,000, 5 years later, you got $100,000. 5 years after the $100,000, which is 10 years after the $50,000, we're going to be over here at $200,000. 5 years later, we're going to be at $400,000. So you invest 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, you're going to end up with $400,000. Now, what are you going to do with that? What I would encourage you to do is to reinvest it, because guess what? If you get $336,000 in year 5, you're going to have some tax implications. So let's figure out a way that we can offset that tax implications and continue to grow the money. Remember, financial freedom to me is the money growing faster than we can spend it. Now, many of y'all are saying, yo, Brad, I can spend $32,000 per year. Yes, you probably can. But remember, this pattern here is investing $50,000 once. Okay? What if you are continuing to invest and you're getting multiple of these $50,000 over the course of 15, 20, 25 years? And maybe you're not starting at $50,000. Maybe you're starting at $200,000. Maybe you're 50 years old and you've got $200,000, maybe $400,000 that you've saved up in old 401ks, IRAs, I don't know. But then in 15 years, you can go from $400,000 to $3.2 million. In that case, you're going to be getting $256,000 per year for 4 years, and it continues to grow. So here's my question. If you know this math, if you believe this math, and if you don't believe it right now, give me one more slide and I'm going to show you how to do the math yourself. Knowing this, could you maybe find a side hustle that makes $10,000 or more per year after taxes, so that every 5 years you can start one of these apartment building investments or another flavor of investment that's going to get you 8% cash on cash return or 2x multiplier in 5 years? Guess what? If you're closer to retirement, there's ones that have 10%, 11%. Occasionally they climb up into the 12s and 13% cash on cash returns. These exist, but you got to start investing now so we can get up to them. All right, so if you know this math, could you find a side hustle and save up money and get to them? What if you're married? Can you live off of one spouse's income and invest the rest? Maybe both spouses are making money and one spouse, the money goes into these types of investments. And maybe every year you can start one of these $50,000 investment. Or maybe your spouse is a baller and every year you can start one of these $100,000 investments. But the point is, if this is true, and it is, get started now. What would it be like to retire when you hit the number rather than an age, right? When you hit a financial number. And what would it be like if you can achieve your financial dreams and give generously to your community? What would your life be like? I promise you it's worth it. Go figure out a way to start making $50,000 on a side job, or save it, or sell something. But get this thing going. Okay, let's compare the math. Get out a calculator. You can open the one on your computer, get the one on your cell phone, get a calculator. Let's start with how much money you have now to invest. Now again, I said the minimum was $50,000. So if you don't have 50,000, type in 50,000. Otherwise, type in the amount that you have. And then we're going to hit the multiply button and we're going to put 1 point and then whatever you think the interest rate you can get is. If you've got a financial advisor that's telling you, hey, we're going to get you on average 7%, then put 1.07. If it's 1.08%, you put that. But every time you hit equal sign, that's a year of compounding, which means 50,000 at 1.07. 50,000 at 7% interest in 1 year will grow to 53,500. In 2 years, it'll be 57,245, 61,250. You get it, right? Every year, every time you click equals, that's another year of that money growing. So again, put in how much you got now times, and you can play with different interest rates. Let me show you what I have already done. Now, I used to be a financial advisor. I used to have my FINRA 6, 63, and 65. And what my boss told me to tell people is, yeah, it's usually somewhere between 6 to 8%, but you should expect 7%. I didn't like that job very much. But let's say you got $50,000 and we're going to grow it at 7%, which is unfortunately what the typical 401k does. IRA with a financial advisor. Now, let's see, I'm recording this in March of 2025, and I was actually talking to someone just a few days ago, and she's like, but Brad, my financial advisor got me 13% last year. And I said, 13%? She's like, yeah, he killed it. And I was like, he killed it? Go take a look at what the market did. And she's like, what? Go take a look at what the market did and then let me know. And I got a text about 5 minutes later, just, oh my God, OMG. And again, these are average over the long term, right? Not year by year. Obviously, it's all going to have its ups and downs. But $50,000 invested at 7%. Years 1, 2, 3, 4. At year 5, you'll have $70,127. At year 10, you'll have $98,357. And at year 15, you will have grown it to $137,951 in 15 years. That's a 2.76 multiplier in 15 years. All right, let's do the same thing at 10%. 10% is the long-term stock market average, right? Sometimes the stock market does 20%, sometimes it does negative 5%. But over a very long period of time, the stock market will average 10%. Let's say it does 10% every single year without fail, which it doesn't, but these are what the numbers would be. 50,000 in year 5 gets to 80,000, in year 10 gets to 129,000, and year 15 gets to 208,000. That's 4.18x multiplier in 15 years. That's a lot better. Now, the magic number is 14.87%. That's what'll double your money every 5 years. Again, this is what I'm finding in apartment complex and have for the last several years. So that will turn $50,000 into $400,000 in 15 years. This is what I'm trying to do. Now, as you saw on the previous slide, you can turn 100,000 into 800,000. And I think it was 800,000 goes to 1.6 or whatever the math is. You can figure it out. We're growing it. So who was saying it's too risky? Probably these people that want you to invest like this over here. Who says I'm a better investor than you? You can't do it. Probably this person over here. Who says just ride the ups and the downs, it always comes back. So far, and yes, I think it will always come back. But guess what? From year 2000 to 2010, the market went sideways. Do you have a decade to give up of your compounding? I don't. I don't want that for me. I don't want that for you, so stick with me. They also say you shouldn't try to beat the market. This one always got me. And this is one reason why I quit being a financial advisor. What the heck am I doing? Why are people paying me if I can't beat the market? If I can't beat the market, just go buy the market. Okay? Why do people charge money to underperform? I never understood that. Yeah, I'll get some people that say, well, it's a lot less ups and downs. Give me the ups. I'll take the ups. I want the ups. All right, a book I highly recommend, The Holy Grail of Investing by Tony Robbins and Christopher Zook. Here's the bottom line. Ray Dalio says the Holy Grail of investing is to have 10 to 15 non-correlated, diversified investments with asymmetric risk reward. Asymmetric risk reward means there's more room to the upside than there is to the downside. Diversified means you're diversified in different geographies, different times, different places, you bounce around. Non-correlated means if one goes up, the others don't necessarily go up or down. Now, most of the people that I know, they are 100% into public equities. And they think because they have some tech stocks and some commercial bonds and some healthcare stocks and some, all the different asset classes. Excuse me, not the asset classes, all the different sectors in the stock market, they think they're diversified. But Ray Dalio says 60% of stocks and bonds and a trend with the market because they're all correlated. You may be diversified, but you are definitely correlated. So how do we get non-correlated stuff? You got to have different classes. So that's why I like real estate, businesses, public equities. Nothing wrong with stocks, bonds, and options, just not at 100%. Peter Mallouk went and interviewed a bunch of the most wealthy people and asked them, how do you allocate your investments? By far, the largest allocation was in real estate. Okay, 40% or more. And here's a quote out of the book. Tax efficient income is precisely why many of the nation's wealthiest families are real estate dynasties. Okay, page 108. Go look it up. Read the book. It's a great book. But the point of this is that the largest asset class is real estate. That's why I'm starting with apartment complexes. Okay, all investment has risk. Crazy stuff has happened in the last couple of years. Investors bear responsibility for your own results. Investing and trading involves a high degree of risk of losing a significant amount of money. Crazy stuff happens. By crazy stuff, I mean massive giant fires where the government actually turned off the water in the fire hydrants. Not only that, but the government turns away fire trucks that come to help put out the fire, and they say, nope, your fire truck is not allowed over here. We're just going to let it burn. That happened, folks. A gang actually multiple gangs from foreign countries and in multiple cities in the United States. Maybe you only heard about Denver. It happened other places too. These gangs came over, took over an apartment complex and collected money from the tenants and did not give any to the landlord, of course. The U.S. government did nothing for weeks. The landlord still had to pay the mortgage. All of the investors that invested in that, they took a hit financially, but the landlords, the owner still had to pay the mortgage, had to pay insurance, had to pay utilities, had to make all the payments. What if interest rates skyrocket, right? We saw this happen not too long ago. Interest rates went up the fastest that they've ever gone up in the last 50 years. So if you had a floating rate interest on your apartment complex, you may have gone from making money to losing money. And so that's why a lot of apartment owners are having to sell right now. The interest rates have gone up. So if you had a term, let's say you locked in your interest rate, but your term is coming due, you have to sell. That's why a lot of my friends and investor friends, and me myself also, we're buying apartment complexes right now. What if 2008 happens again? What are you going to do? All investing has risk. Now, fortunately, 2008 was temporary. Didn't feel like it at the time, but it was 2 years, 2.5 years, something like that. What if COVID happens again? Folks, if you were operating in an apartment complex during COVID, the government told the tenants you don't have to pay rent, told the apartment operators you cannot evict your tenants, you just have to figure it out. That meant that for about 2 years, in some places, the apartment owners could not collect rents, but still had to pay the mortgage, still had to pay insurance, still had to pay utilities, all the expenses. This is wild and crazy stuff, but it happened. So here's one way that we're going to diversify to somewhat mitigate that risk. Again, we're looking for a diversified multiple streams of income, this picture on the right. So what I am going to do and what I would encourage you to do is invest some in real estate, invest some in private businesses, invest in the stocks, bonds, options in the stock market. I like energy because the energy demands are growing really fast right now in the United States. And then pretty much everything else we call alternatives, venture capital, sports teams, crypto metals. There's a lot in that Tony Robbins book. Go get that book. It's great. I'm building connections to find ways to invest in these opportunities. Okay. Now that means if you invest with me that I may get paid. There are people I'm helping right now and I'm not getting paid. Okay. So it doesn't mean I'll always get paid, but I am looking to set up relationships. I've got many relationships with multifamily investing. I've got one relationship in private equity. What up, dude? I've got one relationship in energy. Thank you, ma'am. And I'm looking, so I'm set. I am set for oil and gas. Got an awesome contact. I'm looking for nuclear. So if you know anyone that invests in nuclear energy, I would love to connect. I'm setting this up, folks. This is what I'm building. All right. There is risk in everything. This is how we get around the risk. So we get non-correlated, diversified, asymmetric risk reward investments. That's the name of the game. That's why they wrote the book. How do we get started? If you want to talk to me, if you want to connect to me, scan that QR code, fill out the form. $50,000 is the typical minimum. Sometimes it's higher. Occasionally it's less. So if you don't have 50,000, get started, right? Start saving up. Start asking friends and family, if you were ever going to give me money, give it to me now. Get side jobs. See if you can live on less. If you have a self-directed IRA and you got money in that, if you got an old company 401k, maybe there's some money there. Talk to your accountant. Talk to your financial advisor before you move that around. Talk to me. I have invested self-directed IRA money into multifamily investments, into apartments, and I have also set up my own solo 401k, and I have invested money from that into multifamily, into an apartment. All right, get $50,000. Let's get started. Now, here's something. The government wants to protect you from losing your money. So they want to be sure that you have a certain level of sophistication. If it's a 506B syndication, don't need to know what that means. What you do need to know is that you and I need to get to know each other. We have to have several conversations. We have to have them documented. We have to have them documented on what we talked about. So let's have some Zoom meetings set up. Let's trade some emails. Let's go talk about stuff. Okay. So for 506Bs, I have to know that you're a sophisticated investor. If it's a 506C, you must be accredited. It helps if you're accredited for a 506B. But accredited, at least right now, the way I think it stands is that you have to have $1 million net worth, not including the house that you live in. Or you have to have an income of $200,000 by yourself for the last 2 years. Or if you're married, a combined income of $300,000 for the last 2 years. Now, here's something where everyone needs to pay attention. The last time President Trump was in office, he was trying to create a test so that investors could gain the accreditation status. So keep your ear out. If that comes, you might be able to just take a test and then you can qualify for investing in multifamily apartments. Okay, talk to your accountant to understand the tax implications or benefits. That means if you do one of these, there may be times where you get a tax reduction. There may be a time where you have a tax increase in what you have to pay. So you need to understand the tax implications so that you can prepare ahead of time for what you may get back or what you may have to give. I am not a tax, legal, or investment financial advisor professional that can advise you. You must seek those professionals that can advise you in your area. All right, folks, that's all I got for today. But what I want to remind you is that you can grow your money this fast. There's a couple of steps you got to do. If you want to get started, scan that QR code. I will help you. I am called to help you. If you've known me for a while, you know I've always been helping people with their personal finances. This is what I'm called to do. So no matter how you invest your time, your love, your money, or your energy, always invest on logic, not on hope. God bless you.